Hey everyone, and welcome to the weekly podcast with Alexander and Ava.
All right, let's dive in. We're tackling self-love today, and it looks like you sent in a ton of stuff to help us out.
Yeah, wow. Articles, websites, even some definitions from like Merriam-Webster.
Looks like you're ready to get serious about this self-love thing, huh? We're going to unpack all of it, figure out not just what it is,
Right.
but how to actually, make it happen in your own life.
Exactly. And it's interesting because there's so much more to it than just, feeling good. Some of these sources talk about real tangible benefits to self-love, even connecting it to things like resilience and reaching your goals.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm really curious about, the why behind all the hype. But okay, before we get ahead of ourselves,
Right.
let's start with the basics. One of the sources here described self-love as valuing yourself, nurturing your well-being, treating yourself with the same kindness you'd show someone you really, really care about. Sounds nice, but what's that actually look like day to day,
Yeah, that's where those three components they keep mentioning come in: self-acceptance, self-care, self-compassion. And they're all really connected, not just separate ideas.
Okay, so break it down for me. How do these actually work together?
Well, you can think of it like building a house. Self-acceptance is the foundation, right? It's about accepting every part of yourself, good and bad. Even the messy stuff, like that example from Merriam-Webster about, challenging negative thoughts.
Yeah.
That's self-acceptance in action.
So instead of getting stuck in that I'm not good enough place,
Right.
it's more like saying, okay, this is me, flaws and all.
Exactly. And on that foundation of self-acceptance, you can start building the walls. That's where self-care comes in. It's not just, bubble baths and face masks, though those can be nice.
Yeah.
It's really about making choices that nourish your mind, your body, your emotions, the whole package. So your daily habits, the boundaries you set, even how you talk to yourself.
Okay, I'm following you. So we've got the foundation, the walls. Where does self-compassion fit into this house metaphor?
Self-compassion is the roof. It's what protects you, because life throws curveballs. We all mess up, have setbacks. Self-compassion is treating yourself with the same kindness you'd give a friend who's going through a rough time.
Being your own best friend, not your worst enemy.
Exactly. And without that roof of self-compassion, the whole structure is shaky. You start doubting yourself, the foundation cracks, the walls crumble. That's why all three pieces are essential. They work together to build a strong, resilient sense of self-love.
Okay, that metaphor really makes it click. But I gotta ask, why is all this so important? Is self-love really that crucial for a happy life?
Well, the research is pretty convincing. It's not just about feeling good. It actually has tangible benefits. A lot of studies have shown a strong link between self-love and lower levels of anxiety and depression.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you're always putting yourself down, of course it'll affect your mental health.
Right.
But how does self-love actually, make you less anxious or depressed?
Well, one idea is that it boosts your self-efficacy. Basically, your belief in your own ability to handle challenges, which then gives you better coping mechanisms.
Okay.
Imagine you're facing something stressful. If you've got a solid sense of self-worth, you're more likely to approach it with confidence, you'll be more resilient.
So it's not that people with self-love don't go through tough stuff, but they've got different tools to deal with it.
Exactly, and that's just the beginning. Self-love has this ripple effect that touches everything, from your relationships,
Really?
yeah, to your career, to how you express yourself creatively.
Okay, you've got me hooked. Let's dig into those ripples effects in the next part. But before we do, any last thoughts on why self-love matters?
I think the most compelling reason is that it unlocks your potential. It frees you from all that self-doubt and lets you become the best version of yourself. It helps you live a life that feels authentic, joyful, fulfilling. Who wouldn't want that? One thing that struck me from these sources is how we often talk about self-love as if it's this destination, but really they frame it more as a journey.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Constant evolving process.
It's not like you wake up one day and boom, you've achieved maximum self-love, right? It's more about the little things you do each day to kind of build that relationship with yourself.
Exactly. And those little things, they add up over time and they create a really powerful shift in how you see yourself and even how you see the world.
That's what I really want to explore, those ripple effects you mentioned before. How does self-love actually show up in different parts of your life? Relationships, work, stuff like that.
Let's start with relationships. The sources were pretty consistent. Self-love is the bedrock of any healthy, fulfilling connection.
Yeah, that feels intuitively right, but I'm curious to know why. How does loving yourself actually translate to better relationships with other people?
Okay, well, think about it this way. When you truly value yourself, when you have that self-respect, you're way less likely to put up with any kind of disrespect or bad treatment from someone else.
You're not going to settle for scraps when you know you deserve the whole feast.
Exactly. And that self-assuredness, it helps you set good boundaries, communicate your needs clearly, and even work through disagreements more smoothly.
So it's not that people with self-love don't have conflict in their relationships. It's more like they're coming at it from a healthier place.
Right, from a place of self-respect and compassion. It totally changes the whole dynamic.
Yeah.
Creates an environment where vulnerability and realness can thrive, which, those are pretty essential for any truly meaningful connection.
It's like you're giving yourself permission to be your authentic self, quirks and all, and that gives the other person that same permission too.
Absolutely. And that mutual authenticity, that's what creates that real spark, that feeling of being truly seen and understood in a relationship.
I'm seeing how self-love isn't this like selfish thing. It actually helps you connect with others on a much deeper level.
Yeah, it's not about isolating yourself. It's about recognizing your own worth so that you can then fully show up in all your relationships,
Okay, so we see how it's crucial for relationships. What about work? I mean, we spend a huge chunk of our lives working. How does self-love factor into that?
Well, the sources pointed to an interesting link between self-love and feeling satisfied in your career.
Okay.
The idea being that when you value yourself, you're more likely to seek out work that really aligns with your passions, your talent.
It's like you're giving yourself permission to go after what truly lights you up instead of just settling for a job that pays the bills.
Exactly. And even if you aren't in that dream job right now, self-love can give you that push to advocate for yourself, set boundaries around your workload, find ways to make your current situation more fulfilling.
It's not about magically getting the perfect job overnight, but more about approaching your work life with that same self-respect and self-care, no matter what your circumstances are.
Yeah, recognizing that you deserve to feel valued in your work, and then taking steps to make that happen.
I love that. It's about bringing that self-love energy into all areas of your life, not just personal stuff.
Now let's switch gears a bit and talk about creativity. The sources suggested that self-love can really unlock your creative potential in a powerful way.
Ooh, that's interesting. I've always struggled with feeling creatively blocked. I'm curious how self-love can help with that.
Think about those times when you're feeling stuck creatively. A lot of times it's that inner critic that's going wild, telling you you're not good enough, not talented enough.
Oh, I know that voice all too well. It's like a constant stream of self-doubt.
Right, and that kind of negativity, it just kills creativity. Self-love is about quieting that critic, giving yourself permission to explore, experiment, express yourself without being afraid of judgment.
It's about getting back to that childlike sense of wonder and letting your imagination just run free.
Yes, exactly. And what's amazing is that creativity isn't limited to just the arts. It's a way of thinking, a way of being in the world.
So even if I don't consider myself an artist, I can still tap into that creative energy in other areas of my life.
Absolutely. It could be how you approach a problem at work, how you connect with your loved ones, even how you decorate your home.
It's about bringing that spark of originality to everything you do.
And that's where self-love comes in. It fuels that spark, gives you the confidence to express your own unique perspective, to share your gifts with the world.
I love that. It's like self-love is the key that unlocks your creative potential.
One source pointed out that self-love isn't this fixed thing. It ebbs and flows, just like life does.
That's so true. Some days I'm like, yeah, self-love, superstar. And other days, I can barely get myself out of bed.
Exactly. And that's where self-compassion comes in again, big time. It's about recognizing those ups and downs are totally normal, that you don't have to be perfect all the time.
It's about treating yourself with the same understanding and kindness you'd offer a friend who's having a rough day.
And remembering that even on those tough days, you are worthy of love and care, just as you are.
That's a powerful reminder. We're so hard on ourselves sometimes, expecting constant perfection.
And that's why the journey of self-love is so essential. It's about learning to embrace every part of yourself, the good and the bad, and cultivating that deep compassion for the whole package,
Because in the end, self-love isn't about achieving this perfect state of being. It's about showing up for yourself day in and day out with kindness, acceptance, and that willingness to grow.
And as you go on this journey, be gentle with yourself. Celebrate your wins and learn from your setbacks.
Because every step you take towards self-love is a step toward a more authentic, joyful, and fulfilling life. Okay, I'm still thinking about that whole creativity thing, like self-love being a catalyst for it. I feel like it makes sense, but it's also kind of mind-blowing.
It is pretty amazing how self-love can unlock So much potential, not just in the arts, but in how you approach, well, pretty much every part of life.
Yeah, it's cool to think about tapping into all that creativity, but then there's that voice, right? The one that's all like, what if you're not good enough? Or what if everyone hates it? How do we get past that?
Well, that's where that self-acceptance piece comes in again. It's about realizing those thoughts, they're just thoughts, not facts. And it's about learning to embrace the imperfections, those quirks that make you, uniquely you.
So instead of trying to be perfect, it's more about being like perfectly imperfect.
Exactly. When you can embrace all of yourself, the good and the bad, it creates the space for you to be authentic in your creative endeavors. And that's where the real magic happens, I think.
Okay, I'm starting to see how it all connects. Self-acceptance leads to self-love, which then fuels creativity. It's like this awesome positive cycle.
And that cycle goes way beyond just artistic stuff. The sources talked about how self-love can boost your creativity in all areas of life,
Like what kinds of things?
Well, even just problem solving at work. If you can approach challenges with self-compassion, with that belief in yourself, you're more likely to find creative solutions.
So instead of getting stuck in self-doubt, you're more open to new possibilities.
Yep. And that same creative energy can totally change your relationships too. When you're comfortable with yourself, you bring something different to the table, a new perspective, a willingness to connect on a deeper level.
So it's not just about creating art or writing a book. It's about bringing that spark to everything you do.
Right. Every interaction, every experience.
It's about seeing the world with a sense of possibility, with like wonder and a little bit of playfulness. Sounds pretty great.
It really is. And it makes that whole self-love thing feel less like a chore and more like an adventure, a journey to figure out who you truly are.
Well, as we wrap up this deep dive, I got to say I'm feeling pretty inspired. What's the one thing you want our listener to take away from all this?
I think the most important thing to remember is that self-love is a practice. It's not a destination you reach. Some days it'll come easy and other days it'll feel like climbing a mountain. The key is to keep showing up for yourself with kindness, compassion, and a willingness to grow.
It's about treating yourself the way you treat someone you truly love, with respect and care.
And don't forget, self-love isn't just about feeling good. It changes how you connect with people, how you approach work, how you express yourself creatively. It touches every part of your life.
It's about becoming the best and most authentic version of yourself.
And as you keep going on this journey, remember you're not alone. There are so many people and resources out there to support you.
So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep nurturing that relationship with yourself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into self-love.